Hello and welcome to the Kristin Carrera podcast. I am your host, Kristin. Welcome back if you've been following along. And if you are new, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, follow along, and comment. I love to hear where you are on your journey, whether you're dabbling, learning about carnivore, whether you've been carnivore, whether you're more animal based, even maybe even keto, wherever you are on your journey, welcome. Today, I want to talk about something that comes up a lot and I hear it all the time: staying motivated on carnivore. How do you do it? How can I stay motivated on carnivore? It's such a restrictive diet. I don't think that I can do it. These were all the things that ran through my head as well before starting carnivore. I will tell you, and I've been honest with you before here on this podcast, that I thought when I first heard about the carnivore diet from Dr. Sean Baker on the Joe Rogan podcast, I literally said out loud that this was a crazy diet. There was no way that I was going to do it. It was very limited. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. I believed in balance. I was doing all the things, and having a meal that you can enjoy here and there, there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe that is the case for you. And if it is, amazing. But for me, that wasn't working. It was not working. And as much as I wanted it to work, as much as I wanted to believe in that motto, right? It just was not working for me. And so I decided to make that change. I decided that I was going to give myself a goal and I was going to start carnivore as my New Year's resolution goal back in 2024. And I was also going to start this podcast to make myself accountable and to be able to share my journey with you, the raw, honest up and downs and all the in betweens. And that's exactly what I did. You can go check out, I have videos from day 1 through 100 where I went through what was in my journal. I'll keep my journal right here next to me. You can see it. And I wrote down everything: how I felt, what I ate, what I was going through, and how many times I wanted to quit. And yet here I am, not 100% carnivore, I will say, but I am 80 to 90% carnivore throughout my days. And I am still learning, I am still growing, I am still seeing and finding what works for me. And that is the hope that I have for anybody out there who is trying to get healthy and maybe who is struggling through things like I was. I was struggling through depression for 8 years. I had anxiety, I had brain fog, I had fatigue, I have thyroid issues, gut issues. There was a lot going on. There are people who are diabetic who have different kind of health issues. And so I have seen a lot of testimonials on going carnivore, on healing, on getting on off medication, and so on. So I think that this question comes up a lot because it is a restrictive diet. It is, and I'm not going to say otherwise. But staying motivated on carnivore is very important. So let's be real here for a second, okay? It's easy to get excited at the start. I'm going to lose all this weight. I'm going to get off my meds, right? Like whatever your story is that you have in your head, that can keep you super excited in the beginning. But staying consistent long term is a whole other story. When I was going through my up and downs, what I call the roller coaster, I wanted to quit so many times. I was so close. I would like literally talk to myself about quitting and then talk myself out of quitting. And that kind of kept me on the train, right? So, how do you keep going? Well, one key that I've learned is to set small goals. Small goals, I tell everybody, whether it's a diet, whether you're starting to work out, small goals is key because when we set these long term goals, like in a year from now, I'm going to do carnivore for a year and I'm going to feel amazing and I'm going to lose 100 pounds. And then those things don't start happening within your quote unquote time frame, whatever you have in your head, because people always have a time frame in their head. It's hard not to. You think to yourself, well, I think that I want to lose weight and I want to lose about 20 pounds in the first month. And maybe you lost 3 pounds, or maybe you gained 2 pounds, and now you think it's not working for you. And now you're just like at a stall where you're just, this is not for me. This doesn't work. And that's not necessarily the case. Could it be that it's not working for you? Possibly. I can't say that it's not. There's always a possibility. There's always that small percentage. But could it be that you're not doing it right? That's another possibility. Could it be that the time frame you have in your head and the goal that you had in your head is not a realistic goal? I believe it could be. So I've learned to set small goals, realistic goals, instead of thinking about these huge wins. Think about the small wins, okay? And I know that the small wins aren't always so exciting, but they are something that you should really, really appreciate, that you should really applaud yourself for, because not everybody even gets to the small wins. They quit before they get to the small wins. So remind yourself of that. So maybe instead of sticking to meals for a week and hitting a certain number of protein grams per day, try just focusing on that. I'm changing my way of eating this week and I'm making the small changes I need to be healthier, right? So if you went from eating McDonald's 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and now you only eat it once this week, that's a win. That's a win in my book, okay? Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Can you stop cold turkey? Can you just stop eating McDonald's? Of course you can. Most people can, but a lot of people can't because they are on a food addiction or a sugar addiction, and it may take you longer to get to from point A to point B. And that's okay. We are all on our own journey. We are all on a different timeline. My timeline was different than Pepe over there, right? My timeline is different than my husband's. So celebrate the small wins. Another tip is find support. Oh my gosh, this is huge, huge. And I know I got a comment the other day how um, they were vegan, they were vegetarians for many years, and they started implementing chicken and fish because their doctors told them they needed certain vitamins and nutrients that they weren't getting on their vegan diet. And so they started to do that. But the husband does not eat red meat. He doesn't really like it. She's going more carnivore, trying to eat the red meat, and the support isn't there. So I think that it's very important that you have this conversation with your significant other and let them know how you feel. Let them know that you need their support, even if they don't 100% understand what you're doing or don't agree with it. Um, but in terms of that, this is your body, this is your health, and you are trying to see what works for you. And maybe if it doesn't work, then that person can help guide you to what's working for them if it's working for them. But is what they are doing even working for them? And then still criticizing you? Like, those are things that you have to think about, because it's important to know that the focus is on your health, right? Nobody's living in your body but you. Nobody knows what I go through. Nobody knows that I have these allergies come allergy season right now, that I woke up like swollen and itching, that I'm still stuffy. Nobody has gone through having depression after having kids for 8 years and people telling them that it's normal. People have gone through that. I take that back. People have gone through that. But in the sense of nobody knows how I felt, right? Because my depression is going to be different than this person's over here. And what I'm going through in my life with my family is only going to be what I'm going through. This person has their life and their family. So my point is that we are all going through similar things, but different ways. And so this is our body, right? This is my body, and I'm going to do what I know works for me. Whether somebody wants to criticize me for doing carnivore or not, thinking that I need to have my vegetables and my fiber and whatnot. Well, they have a right to think that. That's fine too. Everybody has their opinion, right? Freedom of speech. But I also have a right to see what works for me. And people have to understand that if I found what works for me, then why is it affecting you? So find that support that you need, whether it's in your significant other, whether it's with a family member, whether it's with a friend, or whether it's with a stranger online. There are a lot of Facebook groups that you can get on that are supportive. There's some on over on X. I'm over on Nostr, and I'm over on Instagram. So you are more than welcome to message me for support. I am here to help guide and support you in any way that you need and what works for you. But joining and sharing your journey, it makes a huge difference when you have others who keep you motivated. So keep that in mind. And finally, remember, don't stress over perfection. Oh my gosh, this is a huge one because we all want everything to be perfect. Like, this is going back to the beginning of this podcast where I said we have all these goals and these timelines in our head. That's perfection, right? That's what in your head you feel should be perfect on your journey, when the reality is that's not the way that it's going to happen. It's more than likely it's not going to happen that way. So we need to stop stressing over perfection. Some days will be harder than others, and that's okay. We'll get through those hard days, but the goal is consistency, not perfection. So staying motivated really is an individual thing. I personally stayed motivated because of my why. My why was to be here, to be healthy for my kids and for my family, to no longer feel depressed, to no longer wake up wanting to stay in bed, not having the energy to be with my kids, not really wanting to be with my kids, wanting to just go to my room and go to sleep. Midday crashes, just not feeling great, very, very negative space in my head. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. So my why was really big for me. You have to find your why. Write it down, put it in front of you if you need to. Remind yourself why you're doing this on those hard days. And on those small wins, on those days that you feel good, like when I had a little bit of energy, that was a win. Even if it was for a few hours of energy that I normally wouldn't have had, that was a win. So celebrate the small wins, stay consistent, find your accountability partner, and I promise you this journey will be a lot easier on you. I hope that this podcast was helpful for you. Please like, share, follow, and comment. Keep going, stay focused, and celebrate your wins no matter how small. I'll see you on the next podcast.